now, you're tuned into RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's RBLR Sports.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to your RBLR Rays podcast. I'm Ben. I'm back again here with Zach. How's it going, Zach?
Oh, it is going fantastic, man. Another beautiful day to be alive, man.
Yeah, that's true. I agree. We've got Eureka here as well, as always, muted in the background, ready to give us some notes or whatever if we miss things, all that good stuff, and he'll edit this for us later. So let's make sure he has a lot of work and editing to do, so let's make some mistakes here.
We could definitely make that happen.
We've got our first player review type episode we're doing here. So each week we're going to review a couple guys because, the lockout, a little bit of a slow time for baseball. Not much news happening, not really anything going on, just kind of waiting for the season to, get back on track. So we got to hurry up and wait. But I have a player and Zach has a player that we're each going to talk about a little bit, ask some questions, and kind of dig into their 2021 season and look ahead a little bit to 2022. So before we get started, any baseball news that might have gone under the radar here that we might have missed?
I don't know that I'd say went under the radar. Even though we are locked out, the minor league systems are allowed to still do their thing, and we did have the minor league Rule 5 draft. Nothing too crazy, but we did lose 3 players to that, which is a lot less than what we were supposed to lose, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that there was projected to be 8 people or something that were taken total from us, and we only lost 3. So
yeah, that's it's it is what it is. Those guys are going to get opportunities in other organizations, and because it's like the minor league portion of the Rule 5 draft, it wasn't anybody like too high profile or significant. Sorry if you got drafted in the minor league portion of the Rule 5 draft and you're listening to this. I don't mean to say that you're not significant, but yeah, it is what it is. I'm happy for them to get that opportunity elsewhere, but it probably wasn't going to happen on a team as deep as the Rays because they didn't take anybody. They had no selections in this minor league portion of that draft, so they're happy with their rosters in the minor leagues, and I think as fans we should be as well.
Oh, agreed 100%.
All right, so I guess that's pretty much it. We can just jump right into our player reviews. Did you want to go first, or how do you want to do this?
Yeah, I can go first because I know that you're a player we're gonna have a little more deep dive into as far as I don't want to give anything away, but what we talked about. So, so to start off, I went with Randy Arozarena, one of my favorite players. Basically, he had an amazing season. Not necessarily Hall of Fame season, but he did get a 2020. He did have a 2020 season. 20 steals, 20 home runs, which is big for us. We don't normally have guys that produce that on the Rays, so it's nice to see.
Yeah, I don't remember the last time that happened for the Rays. It was probably maybe Kiermaier a long time ago. I don't know.
Yeah, I believe you're right, actually. But just to kind of review it, he had a batting average of 274, 94 runs scored, so almost got us to 100 RBI players this year. And then again, 94 runs, 100 run guy, not RBIs. 69 RBIs, 20 home runs, 20 stolen bases. He started off really hot in April. His batting average kind of hovered from 245 to 244 from May to July, though. So nothing too wild. He did end up picking it up over the last little bit, where he batted a 333 in August. And over his last 15 at-bats anyway.
Nice.
He did have a big month in May. I know I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but this is just kind of
no, you're good.
Where my brain goes. So he did have a big month in May as far as stealing bases too. He swiped 6 bags in May.
Nice.
The only thing that drastically dropped, and it's nothing insane, but he did go from a 641 slugging percentage in 2020 to a 459 last year. I guess that's just kind of what happens when you get a full season under your belt, though.
Yeah, that's true. That 60-game sample size is a little tricky. And it felt like he was hitting a lot more ground balls this season, too.
Exactly. His launch angle and exit velocity was a little bit adjusted. Obviously, his exit velocity was a little bit lower than last year. But again, I think that plays. I think that plays into. He played 141 games this year. He doubled what he played last year he more than doubled what he played last year. So I feel like that plays a big role in it, and it's just as disappointing as it looks on paper. It's really not anything that I'm stressing for him. I think he's going to be a big part of our system for years to come. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think like you said, like the workload going from the 60 game to whatever he had, like 141 games this season, like it's a pretty significant jump for a guy that, is technically still a rookie. So, yeah, I'm not really concerned about that. And I think he'll get that launch angle up a little bit. But even if he doesn't, his speed helps those ground balls kind of play up. He can turn, ground balls into singles, some singles into doubles. So, he'll be all right.
Yeah, and I agree with that, and that's why I'm saying I'm not stressing. I know the numbers kind of aren't as exciting as they could be, but I'm very confident in him. And now to kind of jump into the postseason, he not as amazing as he did last year. Obviously, we only got 4 games, but he was technically on track for another huge postseason. Before they were eliminated by the Red Sox, he slashed 333, 1 homer with a 1.071 OPS, and he did steal home, which was nice. Probably my favorite highlight of his this year was him stealing home against the Red Sox.
Yeah, that was so cool. That was like, I don't know. I mean, like nobody really saw it coming, but like once it started, like once he broke for home, like I feel like everybody knew he was going to be safe. That was really awesome. Such a good jump.
Yeah, and I think so. To get off of the notes a little bit, I think that's the thing that I'm most excited for him is his ability to read a pitcher. I feel like his jumps are probably some of the best, definitely in the American League. I don't think that he's necessarily.
Yeah, and as he gets. Oh, no, sorry.
I'll say I don't think that he's necessarily the fastest player by any means, although he did race a horse. I don't think that he's necessarily the fastest player in the league, but his ability to read a pitcher and get off the ball quick is very good to me.
No, definitely. He's pretty high in terms of like his sprint speed. I don't know the exact percentile ranking in the league, but he's up there. The Rays have a pretty fast team, but no, he's definitely like I think he's more quick than fast, but he could still be a good base stealer in that way because, I feel like BJ Upton was the opposite of that. He was more fast than quick. Like he had that like gliding speed, but he was still able to steal a ton of bags. But I think, Randy could also, turn into a really good base stealer as he gets more experience. And I looked it up. I'm pretty sure, unless I missed something, BJ Upton in 2012 was the last Rays 2020 player, so it's been a while.
Yeah. I mean, that's almost 9 years?
Yeah.
So that's not something that we get very often. That's why I'm so excited for the future with him. And I have that down here as far as like for what he can do in the future. And I mean, I'll get to that part in a little bit. I don't want to go too fast for you guys. But yeah, so he's just, I think that if he can not get caught as much, because if I'm not mistaken, I don't have that note down and I should have looked it up, but I believe he got caught quite a few times stealing.
Oh yeah, he did. I remember that. He went on like a little streak where he just couldn't catch a break, so that kind of ruined his confidence for a bit.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't have those exact numbers, and I probably should have looked that up. So for you listeners, I apologize. But he, if he can cut down on getting caught, I think that he has the potential to be a 30-30 player.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, like he has the power for sure. So, it's interesting for a guy as fast as Randy. Like you'd think the 30 stolen bases would be a sure thing, but the power for him is, in my opinion, like a little bit more consistent. But yeah, he did have 10 caught stealings, and I believe that was first in the league. That was the most. Yeah, he led the league in caught stealing this season. So it is what it is. It's not a big deal. Like, you're going to get caught trying to steal bases, but I would like to see him, refine that a little bit more. So maybe the new first base coach or whoever they're bringing on is going to be someone that can help with that, because I think the Rays as a team could steal more bases because they do have a lot of really good athletes on the team. And that would, they had a great offense, but that would help their offense get to the next level, I think. Even though, stolen bases kind of fallen off the face of the earth over the last decade or so.
Yeah, that's kind of disappointing, not to get off topic, but like you said, I think that would help our offense drastically, because, if they were worried about us actually stealing bases, aside from, I think Arozarena was really one of our only big base stealers.
Right.
So if I think that the teams that we're playing worry about more than just Arozarena stealing, then things could go our way a lot more.
Yeah, and typically pitchers, they'll get a little distracted. Maybe they might start throwing more fastballs. So I think it just helps everything out if we're, if the Rays continue to be aggressive on the base paths. I'm not saying we have to go out and get someone like bring Juan Pierre or something out of retirement, but he was pretty cool. He was a good base stealer. He was fun to watch. But just send guys more often. I like the hit and run. I like all that stuff. So I think that'd be cool.
And I agree with you. So basically, just to jump into what I think he could do in the future. Keep in mind, I feel like we got to keep in mind he's only 26 and he just played his first full season. So not only did he win Rookie of the Year, but he's got years of being with us, hopefully. And so I think that he has the potential, I already said it, to be a 30-30 player. If he can kind of kick on that switch that he kicks on in October, before October, I think that he's a pretty safe bet to continue to produce at the top of our order.
Oh yeah, definitely. And he won't be a free agent until 2027. So, excuse me, they have 5 more years of control. So that's pretty significant. But do you think the Rays might sign him to an extension? Because I know when he's a free agent in 2027, he would be 31, 32 years old. So kind of in his prime at the time of entering free agency.
I would love to see us sign him. I think that he's going to be one of the new cornerstones of our franchise. So I would very much like to see him be signed. I don't want to say yes or no because of the lockout. I just don't know what's going to happen. But before that, I would have said yes. We would have signed him to a large contract extension.
Yeah, I think locking him up sooner rather than later would help them, afford his contract more, because there are some teams that would pay a lot of money for a guy that's put up 5 wins above replacement in 183 games. So that's how many games he's played in his career. I just looked it up real quick. So he's he's adding a lot of value to the team, and he's playing really well. So I hope the Rays decide to either lock him up or well, I guess that would be the only option for me, honestly, is lock him up for a while, keep him on the team.
That's the thing. I agree with you 100% on that, because normally it would be well, we could either lock him up or get him for get some good minor leaguers for him or something. But I don't see that happening with him. I don't see how we can produce as well as we are without him in our lineup.
Yeah, definitely. He's a huge part of this offense, and he was okay defensively, and there's only room for him to improve there. So, yeah, I like where he's headed.
Yeah, that was one of my kind of issues while I was doing the review of him, was I didn't really put any notes in on his defense because it was just kind of mediocre. He had a couple really nice throughout the season, had a couple of really nice defensive plays, but everything else was just kind of run of the mill, good defensively, not bad, but also not great.
Yeah.
So that's why I didn't really talk too much about it, because there's not much. As much as I hate to say it, because I love Arozarena, there's really not much to talk about on his defensive prowess.
No, it was pretty average, I'd say.
Yeah, I think that's the perfect word for it.
He did have that one really cool catch in Boston, like early on in the year. I think it was like the second series of the season, like right after the Miami series. I believe I think it was in Boston. I'll have to check that out later, but he went like, almost horizontal to the ground, like 4 or 5 feet above the ground. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it was either the second or the third series. Because I know that we were in Boston for sure.
Yeah, it happened in Boston, I think, and it was like one of those like 4 or 5 star catches that they had on ESPN for a little bit. So
the web gym. But they one thing I want to speak on too for him was he was very healthy all season.
Yeah.
I believe he had a little 4-day stretch in the beginning of the season where he was on the IL. And then he had paternity leave, and that was the only time that he was not on the team or not available for the team.
Yeah, how dare he have a kid during the season?
Yeah, just disrespectful.
So selfish.
But yeah, so that's my... overall, that's kind of my little review on Arozarena. I know it's nothing crazy. Like I said, I wanted to keep it kind of short because I have a feeling that our next guy is going to be an exciting one, and we have deeper things to look into with him. So,
yeah. So I mean, I mentioned it a little bit last week that I wanted to look into this more, and I did. So that was cool. But basically, yeah, I've got like a pretty short. I mean, relatively short, about the same length as yours, like offense, defense, outlook for 2022. But then I have a little bonus category here at the end, which is really interesting. So, excuse me, I decided to look into Kevin Kiermaier. Really interesting kind of season and a pretty interesting career so far. So basically, he's 31 years old right now. He's going to turn 32 near the beginning of the 2022 season. He was drafted by the Rays in the 31st round of the 2010 draft, which is insane. Like, he was the 941st pick that year, and he's, turned into such a significant player for this franchise. And he's, probably one of the... No, actually, he is the best defensive center fielder in baseball. Like, over this past, since he's been in the league, he's been the best. So... he's entering his final season of his 6-year, $53 million deal that he got signed to a little while ago. He's going to earn $12 million in 2022, which does sound like a lot, but he adds a lot of value without being flashy about it, so we'll get into that. And he does have a team option for 2023 for $13 million, but that also comes with a $2.5 million buyout, so... the Rays are going to have to make a decision on him during this season. I feel like we say that every trade deadline is that like Kiermaier is on the trading block, but like this time it's like really a decision they have to make. And he's currently the longest tenured Ray, so it's possible to see him go soon. But after doing all this research, I don't want him to go. Like emotionally, I don't want him to go, but like I know financially and like for the team it might be a good decision, but. I don't know. I'll let our fans or our listeners argue about that. So 2021 was one of his best offensive seasons in a while, and it wasn't even that good, which is interesting because he still had a pretty good season. So he had a 716 OPS, which was his highest since his 2017 season when he had a 788 OPS, and his weighted runs created plus was literally one above average. It was 101. So that was his first time at league average since the 2017 season when, he was pretty good. He had a 113 weighted runs created plus. So he was literally just an average offensive player, but he still managed to put up 3.4 baseball reference wins above replacement. So he had a really, really good season by just being an average hitter. He was carried by his defense, and I'll get into the defense in a little bit, but basically his average launch angle this season was literally 1 degree. So he was hitting the ball pretty much flat. It was really interesting because his launch angle when he first started was around like 14 degrees, and it's just been dropping every single season. But that's not necessarily a bad thing because his speed allows it to allows that launch angle to kind of play up a bit because he can beat out those infield hits. But that launch angle does kind of hurt his expected production. Like, He's in the bottom 18th percentile or worse in expected weighted on base average, expected batting average, expected slugging percentage, and barrel percentage. So because of his launch angle, he's never really going to be like an elite hitter, but he doesn't really have to be. He just needs to put the ball in play and hit it, not super hard, because if you hit it too hard, you can't really beat out those infield singles, but just, make decent contact without lifting the ball too much, because like we said, the ground balls help him play up a bit. His approach has gotten interesting over the past 2 years. He's trying to hit the ball more up the middle instead of the other way. Season, he had the highest center of the field hit percentage of his career at 44%, and that also came with the lowest home run to fly ball ratio for his career at 6.3%. So literally his batted ball profile, almost half the time, is he's trying to hit the ball at the pitcher's feet, and it kind of works for him. It's kind of effective. I don't know, it's pretty cool, and we really saw it start to come alive in the second half of the season, in this past season, when he had an 825 OPS and a 129 weighted runs created plus, and that was when he was really just hitting the ball on the ground up the middle as much as possible. So, I think he might have figured out an approach that works for him, where he can kind of stay within his physical limits and still be productive. And one more thing on his offense is that I looked up the rolling 20-game average on his outside of the zone swing percentage since 2018, because 2018 was when he had his worst season ever. He was terrible. Everybody wanted him to get cut, traded, whatever. But his outside of the zone swing percentage has been trending down on that 20-game average. So he's just getting a little bit more discipline at the plate, and I think that's going to help him as he gets older and he starts to lose some of his physical tools. That pitch recognition and discipline is going to help him be maybe an league average hitter for a couple more years, which would be great for for his career trajectory.
So
but that's basically.
Let me ask you a question, if you don't mind. So do you think, whether he's on the Rays or wherever he goes next, do you think that that's something that we see continue to be the case, is that percentage of balls hit up the middle?
I think he is starting to buy into it more, especially after that second half of the season he had, but it seems like that was a decision that him and the team had, come to, because they probably realized hey, you're not really going to be able to sustain this kind of production you had in 2017. Let's find something that works for you, that lets you maximize your tools, probably something along those lines. And, the success that he's had will help him buy into that. But if he does end up going to another team, they might want to try to change that. I don't know. It's all organizational philosophy stuff, but the plate discipline should be, pretty consistent, because that's something, he's been working on for a long time. I feel like he says it every offseason that he wants to take more pitches, he wants to draw more walks, but over these past 2 years, we're really starting to see it happen. So, I don't know, it's kind of impressive, because he's 31, but he's still improving, in some ways. And, I think that speaks well for his outlook in 2022. So, I'm excited, though. He's going to continue to play great defense. His 2021 numbers, he was in the 97th percentile in outs above average, 98th percentile in jump. He is an elite defender. He was, he's just one of the best out. He's one of the best there is. And this past season, he didn't play in every game, which, didn't really help him in this stat, but he had 13 defensive runs saved, and that was fourth among all center fielders in baseball. And he had so many fewer innings played than the other guys on that list. So, he's going to continue to be good for a long time, even though he is on the other side of 30. And he just makes it look so easy out there. So many of his catches happen because he has such a good jump. He doesn't really have to dive that much. So when he does dive, it's that's a ball that nobody else in the league is going to get to except for him. So, he's just really good, and I feel like we don't appreciate that enough, because we don't really see how effective his jump and his route running is on the field. But he's one of the best, if not the best, defensive fielder ever, I think. And he still has a chance to put up even more, pretty good numbers. So his 2022 outlook, no, it's a bit of a mouthful here, but it's still trending in the right direction since 2018. His OPS has gone up anywhere from 10 to 20 points each season, and his career average is a 720 OPS, which isn't great, but that's kind of around league average. So if he could just maintain that for a couple more years, that would be pretty awesome. And I think he could realistically hit that number in 2022. His steamer projections are, they're always a little conservative there, but he's projected to have an 88 weighted runs created plus in 2022, but I think he'll beat that for sure. And like we said before, his plate discipline, pitch recognition, slowly improving every year. His speed and defense are going to carry him because that's who he is. And surprisingly, I know sometimes when we think of Kevin Kiermaier, we think, oh, he's always injured, he's not on the field, but he's played in at least 75% of the team's games for 3 consecutive seasons now. So he stayed healthy. I know he had some minor knee surgery recently when the offseason started, but that was more of a routine procedure type thing, clean up some stuff in his knee. So he should be good to go for spring training. There hasn't been any news that, his season could be delayed or in jeopardy. So he's going to be fine. And I think he could put up, at least 4 baseball reference wins above replacement this season, just based on his change in his approach and his health alone. So he's going to be another valuable player heading into the 2022 season.
That's exciting to hear because it's
yeah.
I know, we've always and like you mentioned before, we're always talking about getting him off the team and trading him, but you nailed it right on the head with his defensive ability. And that was going to be one of my next questions, but you kind of answered it. Did you think that he was one of the best to ever play as far as defensively?
Yes, absolutely. And I think this is going to sound like a tinfoil hat hot take type thing, but I think he could be a Hall of Famer by the time his career is over. So that was the thing I wanted to get into here next is he's going to earn his way onto the ballot for sure, I think, just based on some of the other guys that we've seen on the ballot in recent years. But he's got a real shot to make it into the Hall of Fame. And I never thought I'd ever say that, but the numbers kind of back it up. So currently he's 4th among active players with 132 career defensive runs saved. It's incredible how many, fewer innings he's played than the guys on that list ahead of him and stuff. So I think Nolan Arenado is next at 136 career defensive runs saved, but Arenado has played almost 5,000 more innings. So, 4 more defensive runs saved and over 5,000 innings is crazy. So Kiermaier is definitely going to continue to climb that leaderboard. He's got a 15.3 ultimate zone rating per 150 games, which is actually good enough for 6th all time among all players with at least 6,000 innings. So I know it's a relatively new stat in terms of the live ball era, stuff like that. So it doesn't factor in the old legends of the game, whatever. But Kiermaier is statistically speaking the 6th. Sorry, my a little sick, but he's one of the best players defensively ever recently. So in the past 50, 60 years. He's 2nd among all center fielders all time with an 18.9 ultimate zone rating. No, I'm sorry, that was on Andrew Jones. So Andrew Jones has an 18.9 ultimate zone rating per 150 games. Kiermaier 2nd, and that's the list. That's 1 and 2. And Andrew Jones, in my opinion, is a Hall of Famer. So Kiermaier should at least be in that conversation because he's going to be in that conversation as well. So ultimate zone rating, for those of you a little unfamiliar, just basically measures a player's defensive ability. It's kind of in the same category as defensive runs saved, but in the way that it measures their output. But defensive runs saved is a little biased because it kind of favors those flashy plays, throwing guys out at home, making a diving catch, whatever, which Kiermaier does. But the zone rating kind of factors in other things do they get to the ball that's hit into the gap? Do they make the catch most of the time when they're supposed to? All those things. So it's a good way to measure a player's defensive value. I think outs above average is one of the best still, but it's still such a new stat that it's hard to say. But I think outs above average in a couple years is going to be the gold standard, the same way defensive runs saved was just a couple years ago, because we keep improving, we keep getting stats. Anyways, Kevin Kiermaier is 2nd among all center fielders all time in ultimate zone rating per 150 games. So based on some of that defense alone, it should get him onto the ballot. Because his offense, no offense to Kiermaier, but his offense isn't going to get him onto the ballot. He just needs to be an average offensive player and he should be able to get there. He's currently at 30.7 career wins above replacement. Every time I say wins above replacement, I'm going with Baseball Reference, by the way. The average center fielder in the Hall of Fame has 71.6 wins above replacement. But Kiermaier actually has a higher wins above replacement per 162 games than the average Hall of Famer. So he's got 5.8. The average Hall of Famer has 5.4. So he literally just needs to stay healthy and keep doing what he does. And he will realistically end up on the ballot if he can get like another 7, 8, 9 seasons out of him. You know, he's going to turn 32 this season. So, yeah, basically, let's just say theoretically he plays until he's 40, a nice round even number like that. And he puts up an average of 4 wins above replacement for 8 more seasons, which, as we know, would be lower than his career wins above replacement per 162. So he would accumulate 32 more WAR, which would put him at 62.7 wins above replacement for his career if he were to play until he's 40, putting up like 4 win seasons each season. So that would be really cool because he would be pretty close to that average wins above replacement for Hall of Famers at 71.6. A lot of numbers here, but he's really, really close. He just has to stay on the field and play a bit more. Torrey Hunter is someone who I think is a likely Hall of Famer. He has a career wins above replacement of 50.7, and Kiermaier is likely going to pass that if he plays as long as Hunter did. And Torrey Hunter earned 9.5% of the vote share in 2021 on the Hall of Fame ballot. So Kiermaier could easily do the same, if not surpass that. And I know I mentioned Andrew Jones earlier. He's likely going to be a Hall of Famer. If you just search Andrew Jones Hall of Fame on Twitter, you'll see a lot of really good stuff. MLB put out an article a couple days ago actually about it, making the case for him when he's I think he's eligible now. Yeah, he's on the ballot. He's been on for a couple years, I think. But he has 62.7 wins above replacement, which is kind of like the number that I thought Kevin Kiermaier could hit. So if Andrew Jones gets in, I don't see how Kiermaier wouldn't be able to get in if he's able to continue to play. And that's Kevin Kiermaier's case for the Hall of Fame. He just needs to continue to play more and be just an okay offensive player, and he should be able to at least make a case for himself on the ballot.
Yeah, I think you just made me a believer.
It's so weird, but like he literally could do it, and I don't know. It's pretty awesome to think about.
Yeah, that is because I don't. How many Hall of Famers does Tampa have?
I don't think. I mean, is Wade Boggs is probably in there, right?
He's got to be.
Yeah, I think so, but I mean, he's not like really like a career Tampa Bay Rays player. Like Kiermaier's drafted by the Rays. He's only played for the Rays. That would be like, a Rays Hall of Famer in my. I mean, like, Fred McGriff. He's also there. Got it. I think. Oh wait, I think. Let me see. He should be there. I don't see why not. I'll check it out real quick. Or we'll have our we'll have our interns do it.
I just Googled it. Old trusty Google. The only Hall of Famers for the Rays are Wade Boggs. He played for the Rays in 98 to 99.
Okay. Well, that makes sense then.
But I did think that Fred McGriff got in as well.
Yeah, I don't see why he wouldn't. Yeah, justice for the crime dog. Carl Crawford actually is going to be on the ballot next year, which is kind of interesting.
Oh, okay.
I don't really think he has a shot, but him getting on the ballot with under 40 wins above replacement, he has 39 for his career. Like, Kiermaier's got to at least get on the ballot, at the very least. So I feel pretty good about his chances. Emotionally, in my heart, I want him to stay and play for the Rays forever, but I don't think that's going to be super realistic. But he could. Who knows? I mean, he's going to put up like, his 4 wins above replacement every season, and that's really good. That's, better than most players can say. Like, that's borderline all-star. And if he has like another season or two like he did in 2017 where he put up like 7 wins above replacement, he's going to be like a top 10 MVP vote getter, like Austin Meadows was for some reason last year. But No shade to Austin Meadows. I don't.
Maybe.
The one baseball writer who values RBIs like gave him like a 10th place vote, and that just gave me a headache.
Maybe a little shade, but not like bad shade.
No, it's nothing against him. It's more like against the voters. Like, what are you doing?
Makes no sense. I agree with you.
Yeah,
It really made no sense.
The Mike Zunino 10th place vote made more sense than the Austin Meadows 10th place vote.
Oh, I agree 100%.
I'll leave it at that. So I've talked enough this episode. Do you have anything else you want to share or anything like that?
No, I mean, I know that we just had a couple of Hall of Fame announcements as far as like Kirkchin getting the award for. Let me look it up real quick. I just had it and it went out of my mind.
It was like that excellence in something award.
Yeah, the career excellence award. So, not anything crazy as far as like big news, but congratulations to Tim Kirkchin on career excellence award. That's kind of cool to hear. Yeah,
it was cool to listen to him on Raise the Roof the other day. He was on there, or like a couple weeks. It was like 2 weeks ago, I think. From the time we're recording this right now. So that was a pretty good get though. That's a good guest appearance. So good for them. We're gonna have to get like Barry Bonds or something then to one up.
Just gotta one up him a little bit.
Honestly, we could probably get Rob Manfred if we were to, because nobody else wants him. We could probably. We'll do it for clicks.
Exactly. We won't even actually talk to him. We'll just have him here.
Yeah. Yep. He's actually here right now, and he's sitting next to me. Actually. Yeah. Yeah. He told me he's gonna give in to the players' demands, which is good for the union negotiation stuff.
Good for us.
Yeah.
You're here.
If I had a second mic, I'd let him talk. But yeah, he can't talk right now.
Maybe we could ask where the sign is.
Oh yeah, he said it was never printed, so that's our confirmation there.
So now we can let Eureka know he can stop his search. I know you guys might not know this, but our amazing producer Eureka has been on a search for this sign ever since it was discovered. So now we can let him know that he can just relax and he doesn't have to look for it anymore.
All right, so I guess we're good here. We can wrap this up. I'm going to, real quick though, we want to plug our shop.rblrsports.com. Liking and subscribing to us is important, and it's free, which we love. I love free things. I'm sure you do as well. But if you'd like to support this podcast, you can do so by heading over to shop.rblrsports.com and checking out all the designs we've cooked up. We've got the colors of our different teams here. We've got the Rays, Bucks, Lightning, Rowdies. Designs honoring all of our teams. You can use promo code FLAPPY, FALPPY, for 10% off your order. That's pretty exciting. And we are going to include our link in the description. So yeah, we got some cool shirt designs. I know we just got like that, like the MLB players who are changing their pictures to like that just blank like gray face or whatever. We've got a shirt with one of those on it for like an MVP thing. Funny. I like that one. So, I guess that's just about it. Anything else we need to cover here?
I think you nailed it right on the head. I know you mentioned the shirts and shop RBLR. Great Christmas gifts, guys. that time is coming up, and we would love the support, but also just the commenting and liking and subscribing to our to the podcast is just as much help to us, and we appreciate it. And we thank you guys for coming in and listening every day.
Yeah, and shout out to our Norwegian listener or listeners. I don't know. I saw that Spotify rap thing we had. That's pretty cool. That was interesting. I'm glad we have some Rays fans over there. But anyways, don't forget to follow us at at RBLR Sports on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You can like and subscribe, like we already said. We're on Spotify, the iHeartRadio app, Apple and Google Podcasts. And we're on YouTube and other major platforms. I know Eureka said we want to start getting some video episodes up, so that would be cool. We could put those on YouTube, just like a video version of our podcast. I'll have to put on a shirt if we do that, but it is what it is. So sacrifices I'll make for this podcast.
We'll have to go get haircuts and stuff now.
Oh, I do need to get a haircut today, so I guess we'll sign off so we can go do that. So, go Rays.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.